welcome to Little Blue Pod. It's Jem here. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. I hope you are well. I say it like that because you've clicked on this video perhaps to understand a little bit more about seasonal affective disorder. If you're currently battling with seasonal affective disorder or SAD, then my heart goes out to you. You'll be okay. In this video I'm going to be talking about what it is, introducing it, going through the signs and symptoms to help you, or maybe someone that you care for or in a relationship with that you think suffers from it, to have a better understanding. It's like I say, with coping with our illness, it really helps if we have a really good understanding, so we know ways to cope and manage our illness better. Information today I've taken from sadder.org.uk. They're a UK based charity focusing on SAD, and they are called the Seasonal Affective Disorder Association. 1 in 3 people in the UK suffer from SAD. Now that is a really, really high amount. I was shocked by that because I thought it would be 1 in 4, but actually it's 1 in 3. And this is different from winter blues, which I'll talk about later. This is 1 in 3 people suffer from seasonal affective disorder. Information on that is in the description below. But what is SAD? What is seasonal affective disorder? Well, the symptoms tend to start occurring, sort of regularly reoccur each winter. And we're talking sort of like they start to really kick in towards sort of end of the autumn going into the winter, sort of September to November time, and then they carry on all the way through until sort of February, March. So anything from 4 to 6 months, which is a long time, especially if it's the 6 months and then you're kind of like, that's half my year. I mean, that's pretty intense. I mean, my symptoms tend to be worse in the January and February than they do sort of in the autumn. I like the autumn. I love the change in the season, change of the colours, and all the things that go along with that. I mean, in the UK we have bonfire night. I also have my birthday, and then it's sort of rolling on to Christmas, which I also love, and you know, and then New Year. So it really kicks in for me January 1st. It's almost like I wish humans could hibernate, because then I would sleep through January and February. But then people would say, well, you're missing out on 2 months of your life, and I'm like, yeah, but I could sleep. But yeah, that's not what we want to do. We don't want to sort of sleep through our lives, you know. So yeah, for you, when does it happen for you? Do you, I mean, I literally get it when the clocks change. So when the daylight saving happens, I think that's the right expression, daylight saving happens in the sort of October time. As soon as that goes, I'm like, yeah, I can feel it kicking in. But like I say, I usually keep going until Christmas, and then yeah, go flat in January. So why does this sort of why is this sort of happening? Oh, by the way, yeah, you usually tend to get a diagnosis if you've had it for more than 3 winters. So if you feel like you've been having this for quite some time, it might be that you have, you know, that you do have seasonal affective disorder, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that we need to get the right help for you. If you already have depression, it could be made worse in the winter. More than likely it will be, and I would suggest you can even perhaps ask your GP, your care coordinator, psychiatrist, maybe if you could increase your antidepressants at that time of year, it might help. Why does it happen? Well, long periods of sunless skies. Obviously the sunrise is later, the sunset is earlier, so we're not getting as much daylight. Daylight gives us vitamin D, and it also if there's less light going through to the hypothalamus, the part of the brain which controls a lot of our functions, including cognitive kind of functioning, which is what I'm struggling with a bit today. I don't know how many takes this video has taken. So yeah, the light passes through the eye to the hypothalamus, and if there's less light going in, then there's going to be an impairment of functions of the brain, which brings on a wide range of symptoms, which I will discuss now. So main one, depression, experiencing a low mood, and with that you'll probably get negative thinking, negative feelings, you'll probably experience guilt, loss of self-esteem, you may feel worthless, helpless, hopeless, you know, the usual awful sides of depression. You may also feel quite apathetic, experiencing apathy, meaning that you really just kind of, just can't be bothered, I don't care, I'm not really fussed, you know. So, and then this also kind of similar, impaired cognitive function, mushy brain. You could also experience lethargy and fatigue because you're not feeling that energetic, because you're not getting that sunlight. Impaired poor cognitive function. Can't speak. So difficulty concentrating, and brain is not working as efficiently. So it might be that you've come back after Christmas and New Year, and you're back at school, college, work. You've got loads of things going on, lots of stresses, and you're kind of maybe looking at your work or whatever's going on, your laptop, or just being like, oh, what am I doing? I remember I used to have that a lot when I was working, and yeah, impaired concentration. You may also experience sort of levels of anxiety. A lot of people don't realise that you can have depression and anxiety at the same time. It's not the sort of severe anxiety that you would experience with generalised anxiety disorder, but it might be sort of feelings of tension, butterflies, nervousness, or maybe an inability to deal with stress. So you might be very quick to react to things, or so it's not sort of like a lot of anxiety, it's just maybe an anxious feeling. But if you're more prone to anxiety, that might be more severe than others that maybe don't have the anxious side of the illness. Come on, Gemma, we can do this. Winter illnesses also can be brought on by SAD because your immune system is lowered. So you're more vulnerable to infection. Excuse me, looking down at my notes as always. I really should just memorise a script or something, or have an auto cue. That'd be good. Anyway, shut up, Gemma. Yeah, so I've as soon as January hit, I got this cold cough, literally 2nd of January, I think, 1st, 2nd of January, and I've had it pretty much since then. It's on its way out now, but yeah, sore throat, coughs, colds. I'm feeling tired. Excuse me. It's just yeah, this has been a long recording, this one. You may also experience sleep problems, so hypersomnia, insomnia. You may even start to overeat. That's another side, so you might want to have carbs because of the sugar and get that sugar rush. But then a sugar crash will mean that you are more likely to go into a low mood after that. And also you could put on weight, which if you're trying to do healthy stuff in this time of year, then that will work against you. So that might make you feel more depressed and then feel apathetic and think, well, what's the point? Social problems, so you might feel like you don't want to be around as people, you don't want to go out as much, and then you might be a bit more irritable as well. But if you're if you've got all of these things going on, you're bound to feel irritable, right? Loss of libido, so lower sex drive, reduced interest in sex, but there's ways to counteract that. I'll talk about that another time. And then you will tend to get a very significant altered mood in the spring. Sudden lift in mood, agitation, restlessness, short periods of hypomania, which is overactivity, and then gradual loss of the symptoms. And I know for me, as soon as that clock changes in March, I come back to life. It's like someone switches the light back on and I'm back in the room, back in the present. Doesn't mean I don't experience depression during the summer, but I definitely feel depression more in the winter and the winter months. I want to stress here, it's different to just having the winter blues. We might say, oh, we've got sad, but we might just be experiencing winter blues, maybe a little bit of a low mood, but not quite a full-on depressed mood or an anxious mood. You might have sort of absent or mild depression or anxiety, but you're more likely to experience lethargy, sleep problems, eating problems. There'll be more of the things you get. So it might be if you feel that you don't maybe necessarily have all of the symptoms I've just discussed, it might be that you have the winter blues, and that's still rubbish, but it's not as severe as seasonal affective disorder. Just to sort of say a couple of things here, seasonal affective disorder can occur at any age, so young, old, middle, and it can be triggered by other factors. So it might be that you have a physical illness that maybe you've been in hospital for some time, or maybe you've had a severe illness like pneumonia or something like that, and it's made you kind of become quite withdrawn and maybe lowered your immune system even more, and all of that kind of stuff. So physical illness, childbirth as well, or being pregnant can bring on many types of mental illness, especially if you're prone to that, have a predisposition because of the hormone changes, or a change in environment. Something dramatic may happen, you have to move house, or something goes on in your relationships or something in your family. Something big could happen that could also trigger this response. So what can you do to battle with your seasonal affective disorder? I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here because I do think things like CBT is really great, but on the SADA website, they've got help sheets and things. So really, I would suggest go on there, watch videos like this to get a better understanding and sort of notice when you're starting to maybe go towards these sort of behaviours, to put sort of things in place to stop those happening. But I want to suggest one last thing here, which is to get yourself a SAD lamp. I prefer calling these happy lamps. This is a bit of an old one. They've probably got much more jazzier ones than this, than this one. But this is an alarm clock one, and it doesn't. You can set an alarm on it, but it's more about creating a sunrise and a sunset. So in the morning, it'll start to turn on at a time that you select. So it gives you like a natural sunrise that maybe you won't see if it's all dark and cloudy and grey. So it will turn on and it will come on like this. Well, that was quite dramatic then. You can see it getting brighter. Oh, I can just see it. Brighter and brighter. And then what I would suggest, that's a good way to wake up in the morning, and in the evening, you know, you can be sort of in bed and then just gradually see it setting. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? But what I like these lamps for is just to sit with them and feel it on your face. Now I just put my chin in here. Now I'm very silly doing this, but the feeling of it, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, that feeling of being on a sunbed. I do not recommend going on sunbeds. They're really, really bad for you. But this is the same kind of feeling without the damage to your skin. Okay, this is making the sort of daylight colour. It's a normal bulb in there. There's no UVA or UVB or anything like that. So you can just sit there, and it does feel like you're, this looks silly I imagine on camera, but it does feel like you are surrounded by sunlight. And that's a really good way to cope with it. There are many of these on the market. I'll try and find some and put them in the description. There's probably varying ranges in prices. Almost there, Jem. But I think they're really good, and I think they say something like 10 minutes a day. Just sit with it, and you could just sit with it and, you know, read a book, or, you know, in front of the telly, whatever you do. Try and incorporate 10 minutes, because it might just lift you a little bit. So I hope there's been enough information here to give you an understanding of what seasonal affective disorder is. If you are experiencing SAD or any sort of mental illness at this time of year, my heart goes out to you. You'll be okay. I promise you'll be okay. But yeah, please share with me what your experience. Please share me. Oh goodness me. Please share your experience of having impaired brain function and a mushy brain. No. Please share in the description. Please share in the comments below. I would edit all this stuff out, but sometimes I think it's quite funny, because it just shows that mental illness really, really does mess up your brain sometimes when you're just trying to talk. So yeah, please share with me in the comments below what it's like for you living with SAD, and or maybe you're a partner of someone that has it. Anything you want to share with me, always good to hear from you guys. Not that I like to see any of you suffer, but I like to know that we're all in the community together, so that people aren't feeling like they're the only ones. Take care, everyone. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Really want to get those subscribers up this year. It'd be really, really good to yeah, get sort of into higher figures. But it's not about that. It's about making sure that we have a really good understanding of mental illness, so we can learn ways to cope with it. Okay, I'm going to sign off now. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.